the end of everything. It's the end of an era. Not the end of a band, but we're going to disappear for quite a long time. Just felt, you know, it's totally our decision. We just felt like doing it. Really, it's really old-fashioned. I mean, there's a generation of kids who don't even know what a greatest hits is. You know, I think it's a toss-up between something slightly more intellectually driven, like If You Tolerate This, and just something raw and honest, like Motown Junk, Designed for Life, Your Love Alone. I think with Nina is certainly, from me, James and Sean's point of view, a real kind of career high point. Just working with someone we really admire so much, like we did with Nina, and her voice, you know, we just want to do an album of duets with it, to be honest. James wants to stop singing and get Nina in the band. It always does, yeah, you know, especially the run of bizarre singles from So Why So Sad to There By the Grace of God and Love of Richard Nixon were just absolutely sound nothing like Manic Street Preachers at all. It's no wonder we stopped selling records around that time, because it was, I have no idea what we were trying to express. Oh, there's just a massive blot of depression and darkness hanging over the country that I have no answers for whatsoever. And I keep going back to Richie's lyrics, to be honest, you know, fucked up, don't know why, you poor little boy. Or this gorgeous poverty of created needs, like a track on Slash and Burn. That lyric is just so amazing, and I just have lost complete faith in humanity and myself. I'm just in no position. I just have no connection. The one thing that I get really annoyed is that poverty equates with stupidity and violence. Because if there's loads of millions and millions of poor people in the world, you know, who just kind of try, you know, come from it myself. My father, especially my mum, was an evacuee in the war, and they just all they ever did was try to improve the lives for me and my brother. So I hate that patronising tone that if you're poor, it means that you have to be thick and resort to violence. I find it really distressing. Not really anymore. I think our brains have been totally rewired by the internet. There's a book called The Shallows by Nicholas Carr, really. It's just rewired a young generation's minds to bypass any kind of serious consideration of stuff like that. They are much more interested in whether there's a free Wi-Fi zone than there is, you know, what the unemployment rate is. I did, yeah. It was one of the highlights, you know, of my career. I said at the time it was much more, you know, much more important to us than headlining Glastonbury in '97. It was a massive thrill every night putting that on, and you know, just seeing them, how he would kind of get them in, really obscure ones like Feminine is Beautiful and New Art Riot. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. Lifted my mood. Yeah, I mean, that's the working title. It doesn't necessarily, but it's just an inspiration. Idea really that we have to push ourselves to totally do something we haven't done before, and whether we can pull it off, I have no idea. But the kind of it just feels like it's going to be 2 or 3 years before we do come back after this greatest hits, and it's just got to be pushing ourselves to different boundaries. You know, we've probably had the best 3 or 4 years we've ever had, one of the best periods of the band's ever. You know, from Send Away the Tigers to now. But you know, all good things have to come to an end. Misery's going to take over. We're just going to write songs, and contemplate and think. You know, we have no problem being bored whatsoever. Time off for us is just a beautiful thing. It's solitude, mental sleep, thinking, digesting, reading. You know, this the fetishization that you see in modern culture of, you know, people touching their computers and mobile phones hundreds of times a day. You know, we don't need that in our lives. We're quite happy to dismantle our kind of personas within the band and just think. I advise it.